All right, once you've got it centered, what we're going to start doing is working on our cylinder. So there's a couple of basic steps you need to follow as we work our way through the cylinder. Make sure that everything is well centered before we begin. With our left hand and our thumb, we're going to try to find the center of that mass, kind of a belly button, if you will. A little bit of water. I'm going to use both hands when I can, elbows down for stability. And what we're going to do is we're going to push our thumb down till we go down to the depth that we want. Somewhere right around a quarter of an inch should be sufficient. If you're not sure, turn the wheel off. Take your needle tool, stick it in until it touches the wheel head, finger down until it touches the clay, and come out. This is actually pretty good. This is a pretty decent thickness right there. Once we've determined that we're at the proper depth, what we want to do is open this up. The idea is we want to open it flat across, so that way when we make our cylinder, we take all the clay, divert it into the wall so we can generate height out of our cylinder. A little bit of moisture. You can do it in a number of ways. The easiest way that I've found over the years is with your hands wrapped around it, fingers touching. Just bring your thumbs to your hands, almost like we're kind of doing this. The wider it gets, the easier it is. Take your time, don't rush. You feel it drag a little bit more water, and open it up. Now that we have it open, what we're going to do is compress the bottom. And part of compressing the bottom is making sure that we have a nice flat bottom so we can make sure that we direct the clay where we want, compress the clay back together to help avoid any sort of cracking or stress issues, and also basically just to make a nice, clean interior shape. So, left hand, right hand is always stabilizing, elbows are down. I'm going to go from center to 3 o'clock, right here. I'm using my left hand because it's easy to get into it. I can also keep my elbow down, and I'm steadying it with my right. So slow, controlled movement from center to 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, back to center. I'm not using much water because I want to be able to see what I'm doing. I don't want a whole lot of slip, because if it slips around too much, it's a little bit difficult to get traction. It's kind of difficult to move the clay. I'm only using the tip of my finger, just right around there. Once we've compressed the bottom, we're going to collar it. As we compress and open, the piece has a tendency to open up wider and wider and wider. We want to try to counteract that and bring the piece back together. So a little bit of water on the exterior. I like to let my hand ride on the exterior while I water in between my hand and the clay. This helps promote a small little layer of slip that stays in place. I think it's a better way to lubricate the surface. Hands on both sides, and just bring this thing back together. The shape should start to straighten up and become a little more conical, and all we're really doing is going from here to here. Once we've collared it back in, we're going to start making our pools. And this is the most difficult part to kind of master when we're throwing. The easiest way I've found is to use your left hand, a little bit of a pinching between your inside fingers and your thumb right here. Fingers all the way in at the bottom, somewhere right around, I don't know, 430. If this is 3 to 6, somewhere in between. And my thumb is out on the outside. I'm not doing anything, I'm just letting it ride and kind of slide around just in position. My right hand is going to come into play, and I'm going to use again these two fingers right in front of my thumb. They're connected, so as they move, both hands move in unison. With my fingers in position, I'm going to make a little indentation. Boom. The little divot allows my fingers to push out over and slightly under. And this position is going to be how I'm going to lift and cause the clay to come up. So in that little groove, hands connected, thumbs connected, elbows are down. I'm going to lift straight up, very slow, very steady. Take your time, very little pressure. As we get to the top, slow down your motions. We're going to take our time. We're going to compress that rim. So again, thumb and forefingers, a little bit of pressure over the top, and just hold it. A little bit of a pinch, not much, and just tighten it back up. It's almost like we're centering the rim. Pull number one down. So I'm going to make another pull. I'm going to add a little bit of water to the surface. Let it kind of drag along with my hand. It helps make it nice and slip covered. Again, left hand all the way in at 430 or so. At the bottom, thumb is out here, just touching. Right hand all the way at the wheel head. Make a little pinch together, a little notch. And the trick is that when you bring your fingers together, we're not going to continue to pinch all the way up. We're going to go to that distance between the two hands and hold it there. So as we lift up, the clay that is above it is thicker. As we lift, the clay has to go through your fingers, which makes it narrower, which translates into more and more height. Again, elbows are down, nice and centered. The wheel's moving somewhere right around half speed. We're just going to lift up. I'm moving my hands vertically in a straight line. If I move upwards straight, I'll generate a nice straight cylinder. If I allow my hands to move outwards, the shape opens up. If I put my hands in a position where they start to go inwards, I start creating more of a cone shape. I want a nice straight shape. Get to the rim. We're going to compress after every pull. So thumb and forefinger holding it. A little bit of pressure over the top. Hold it for a second, a few rotations, and then relax your hands away from it. Almost there. Another pull. Add a little bit of water to the surface. Again, all the way down on the inside. 2 fingers, so that way they're steady. Hand all the way on the outside. A little bit of a divot. Whoop, there we go. If we need to add a little more water, go ahead and do it. Lock the hands together whenever you can get those thumbs to touch. Thumbs to touch, hands locked together so the two of them move in unison. We're in our little groove from our pinch, and we're just going to lift. The trick is to keep the hands moving together. If the hands start to shift around, one goes over the top of the other, or they're evenly balanced, we stop generating lift, and we start just pinching and causing this thing to widen up. Get towards the top, ease up your pressure, slow down your movements, relax away from it. Thumb and forefinger, compress. From here, we look like we're pretty good. I'm going to use my wooden knife. I might have a little bit of excess down at the bottom edge. I'm going to remove any of it. Now at this point, my pulls are finished. I'm not going to try to make it any taller. I'm not going to try to make it any more narrow. I feel like it's a pretty good thickness. We're somewhere probably right around 1/4 of an inch thick. Let's take a look. Needle tool through till it touches my finger. A little bit thinner. Not bad. This should work for what we're doing. Now I'm going to use my rib. Straight edge of the rib, held up against the piece in order to make it nice and straight. So holding my rib somewhere right around 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever's comfortable. My thumb is on the outside edge, my finger goes in, and all I'm doing is putting a little bit of pressure on the inside of the cylinder and pushing out towards the rib to straighten it up. So you can see as the clay tightens up on the surface, that's from the pressure of my finger on the inside. Very, very light pressure. I'm just going to work my way up. And when I get to the top, I'm going to relax and gently move off of it. Again, clean up that surface, clean up the rim, compress the rim. I have a little bit of water left on the inside from the throwing process, so I'm going to take my sponge, kind of get it in between my fingers, get anything out that was trapped in there. Last step I want you guys to keep in mind is undercutting the rib. Sorry, undercutting the foot. Just with the edge of it, a little bit of pressure underneath. We're just going to notch it out. This acts as a good anchor point when we need to lift or move, or when we drag our wire and add water underneath it. to take it off the wheel head. So let's take a look at it, see what we got. Nice straight walls that are even from top to bottom. Relatively flat foot. And the thickness of the foot is somewhere right around probably 1/2 inch, which is good for trimming, gives us enough room to make some decisions about the profile of the foot when we trim. And we have a nice, even, flat top.